Hi, good evening. I wanted to hop on here and do a quick update of our board meeting tonight. And it's very hard to get my house to be quiet for a moment, so don't mind every noise you're going to hear in the background. Dogs, pets, teenagers, you name it. We're doing this. So tonight at our board meeting, a few things happened. First of all, we changed out our board president from Bonnie Hyatt back to Troy Wright. And then our clerk was me to Bonnie Hyatt. I voted no on both of these because Troy Wright had been the board president for 5 years before last year's transition, and then Bonnie Hyatt had been the clerk for a long time. I'm not sure how long, but for quite a while. So my nomination was going to be Andrew Shaddix because he hasn't been board president yet in the room. And then I was going to nominate Gloria Vallis to be clerk because she's been on the board the longest, 41 years, but I don't know if she's been the board clerk or not. But my heart behind it was wanting to see that constantly changing and different board members being in those positions versus one person being in that position for a very long time. I'm speaking fast so I can try to get this all in there. But as I have stepped into the school board position, and I've been learning a lot more about politics, more than I ever thought I'd know, and faster than I'd ever thought I'd need to know it. I think I'm getting very fond of term limits in general, understanding that when anyone is in any position for a very long time, it just can create a situation where things stay the same for a very long time instead of new ideas and fresh ideas coming in. So that's why I'm kind of supportive of just changing things out. So I was the only no vote for that, but I stand behind that because I like the idea of everybody having an opportunity to be board president or to be the board clerk. I personally do not want to be in those seats. Like, it's uncomfortable to be appointed to other things, but it is just part of the position and part of the responsibility. And when I got elected as board clerk, I was really surprised because I was a brand new board member and I didn't even know that was an option. But I just stepped into it and it was really simple. It was just signing documents. It wasn't anything complex and hard. But I just realized that even I didn't want to be board clerk again. I wanted to give that opportunity to someone that hadn't done it before. That's really important to me, that we all share and we all take turns. I just love that concept. Anyways, that was step number 1 of our meeting tonight. Boulder Creek presented, which every single board meeting we have a school present, and they did excellent. There's so many hands-on practical things that the students are doing to show such kindness and love and support within the school. I just loved how Principal Hadrick was so awesome tonight. She had the students present and they just did a great job. So every board meeting, a different school comes and presents. And it's really fun to hear what the different schools are doing to implement the 7 habits and to just strengthen the school engagement, the parental engagement, all the things. Next, let's see. We had a few board policies that we approved, a couple that got rescinded that were outdated. We went over we came up with a new or a revised, I think it's a new one, but in EESD Youth Suicide Prevention Policy. The policy is excellent. It's sad to know that Shasta County or Redding in general is we have really high suicide rates. It's actually almost 3 times the amount of the state as a whole. And so helping our youth deal with really hard emotions and being adults in the room for these kiddos is super important. And to have a plan in place, an equipping plan, not just for staff, but parents and other students, and what happens when these crises happen. So I just ate a cookie, sorry. It's like, now I need milk or water to go with it. Distracted. So this policy suicide prevention policy is excellent. I'm really thankful to have it. I think it's a huge necessity. But there was one concern that I had. It had a list of resources that we're going to present to students when they're going through that. And there's a handful of state mandated legislative resources that have to be available to kids on the back of the ID cards or within that whole resource packet. And there were 2 additional resources on there that weren't required by state legislation. And to me, they seemed excessive and not applicable in the sense that we already had another resource covering that exact thing. And just to be clear on it, one of them was, I'm flipping to it real quick. It's right here. It's on page 5 of the policy that I brought up, just that we are mandated by law to have the National Suicide Prevention Line, the National Domestic Hotline. In our district, we have both the national hotline and the local hotline for both of those. So there's 4 resources right there. And then we have 4 other options. 2 of them are texting resources. One's called Crisis Text Line. The other one is called Teen Line. I verified that the Crisis Text Line is directed more towards adults than teens, and the Teen Line is more savvy to young adults and youth. So I recommended that we remove the Crisis Text Line because that one's more adult oriented, and we just don't need to have 2 of them. Just give them one option. And then the other issues were, by state mandate, we have to have the Trevor Project, and that covers all the LGBTQ students who might not feel comfortable doing the National Suicide Hotline or the local one that we have. Although those resources do cover anyone and everyone, they're not exclusive. They don't discriminate against anyone. The National Suicide Hotline prevention is for everyone. So having these additional resources in here, we don't need them. They're not needed. They're extra. And we're also giving them to the majority of kids, not just the minority of kids. So I do like to be protective over kiddos in the sense of give them what they need, but we don't need to add a lot of adult ideology stuff in what we're giving to our kids. So I requested that the Trans Lifeline be removed off of there because we already have the Trevor Project, and the Trevor Project is all inclusive, even for transgender kids. So that was my request, and I motioned for a vote on that, and nobody seconded my vote on the board. So that was one thing I addressed tonight. And then a big part of tonight is we had our interim budget. So I already did a video of that a couple days ago, posted in there about the budget class I took. So this interim budget is more of the actual numbers that we have for this school year moving forward. I asked a handful of questions tonight about the interim budget, and I think the biggest thing to share is that I really have great respect for our chief financial advisor. Deborah Williams, she is excellent. She was a prior auditor. I like how she calls herself, or would be described as, really conservative with the budget. She's leaving a big gap with her projections. So she will overestimate things so that we're always under and we're always within our spending budget. So I really like that. I don't like seeing that we're going to have a deficit for the next 3 years, because to me, even though we have a really great established savings account, right, a reserve fund, and it has plenty of money in it, which I'm really grateful for, the budget person in me, the QuickBooks self-employed entrepreneur in me, says if we're in the red, then we need to make an adjustment. But school district finances are so complex. I have a big mind for business, and I've been doing my own QuickBooks and bookkeeping for at least 5, if not 6 years, or the whole entire time, but QuickBooks in general. Learned about bookkeeping for other businesses, and school district budgets and the whole financial system of it are extremely complex. So learning it has been quite the adventure. But what I'm saying is all the information I've read so far and everything I've learned, I have so much confidence and peace that our district is in a really good place. We are, everything's looking good. And if you want to look into it more and study all the details or ask any specific questions, I would be so glad to help you find the information and answer that. Okay, and what else? I was really grateful. Our superintendent made up this state of the district, and it should be on our district website. It's really cool. It's a new document that she's going to be, I guess, trying to do annually, but it just talks about the state of our district, information about how our district is doing. You know, it's good and it's beautiful and it's easy to read. So just professional development, that we have award-winning schools, what we're doing for visual and performing arts, sports and clubs, human resources, how we're doing with business services, food services, outdoor learning, safety, connection, and family engagement and expanded learning. I don't know if you can see that with my phone turned, but it's really great. I like it. I love information. I love documents that explain things really well and clarify. So that's good. I'm really thankful she did that. She did a great job. Let's see, what else? We approved some playground contracts for Mistletoe and Shasta Meadows for the pre-K, TK playgrounds, and they are absolutely beautiful. They're going to do such a great job. And I heard that Ron, the planner of all of these things, did a great job and saved the district a large amount of money just by planning around Black Friday and getting us a really good deal. So thank you, Ron, for being so fiscally savvy for all of us. And something I brought up tonight is that I attended the school board conference 2 weeks ago for the state one, at California School Board Association state conference. And then in the spring of this last year, I attended the national convention. I attended these conventions by myself alone. And when I got back from the national convention, I had asked to give feedback. I submitted the email, asked during the board meeting if I could give feedback, and I was outright denied. I was told no. So this time around, what I did was I used the opportunity to share feedback during public comment. Public comment isn't necessarily designed for board members to speak, but it is the only opportunity that I have at this point to share information, because I have a lot of times I've requested to have something put on the board agenda and it's been denied. So I'm not able to request it in email. It gets denied. And then when I come to the board meetings and try to bring it up, there's no opportunity to motion to vote, to even get a discussion item put on. It's been a pretty big learning curve. So what I've learned how to do is to speak during public comment, which I did tonight. And I'm going to read what I wrote to you and try to not make this so long, sorry. And then what I did on the items from the floor tonight is I made a proposal for a new board policy that would be more instructive on how school board members go to these conferences, so that it would bring the most benefit and the greatest feedback and experience and teamwork from attending these very expensive conferences. So I'm going to read these, and then I'm going to, just for the sake of sharing information, I read these at the board meeting tonight, and I'm going to read them here because we don't record our board meetings, which also I've asked for, because I think that the public and parents should have full access to every single board meeting. And having our board meetings at 5:30 at night is really hard for parents. In fact, I don't know a parent that is going to probably be there when it's supper time and their kids have been in school all day, you've been at work all day. So if I can add that to my list of bringing that up to try to get that adjusted, but one thing at a time. So this is what I read for the first section. I wanted to share my recent experience attending the California School Board Association conference. Then during items from the floor, I have a discussion item for a policy proposal at our next meeting. I'm sharing about my experience during public comment because when I attended the National School Board Association conference last spring, my respectful request to share feedback at our meeting was outright denied. Some of the impactful sessions I attended at this conference 2 weeks ago was Budget 101. From my perspective, not having known the complexities of district finances, this financial class should be promptly made available for all new school board members who are immediately responsible for fiscal oversight of millions of taxpayer dollars. I'm going to suggest that this be added to our handbook at our next meeting. That just means that every new school board member should take that budget class first thing, because every new school board member is voting on million-dollar decisions. And if you haven't taken that class, you don't know what's going on, unless you're really familiar with the complexities of a district budget. Even if you're really good at business and you're really good with budgeting, this is a whole new area. So I was just saying that should be added into our handbook as a requirement. Next, I attended sessions at this last conference that helped me gain a better understanding of current mental health practices in California. I also attended a panel discussion for state superintendent candidates, and I'm impressed with Sonia Shaw because she's passionately advocating for common sense improvements to California education standards, and she's not a career politician. And I made a video about that if you want to go watch it. The best part of these conferences is hearing firsthand how other school districts are overcoming hard obstacles within the challenging requirements of state legislation and finding successful solutions to improve the quality of their districts. I am very grateful to be a parent on this board. I love our district, and I know there are great solutions in the room with all of our leaders that are worth hearing. I will always take time to hear your ideas. Thank you. So that was for you to hear as well, even though you weren't at our meeting tonight. There's that update. And then when I got to items from the floor, which is the second and final opportunity to speak at the board meetings if it's not on the agenda, this doesn't just apply to me, it actually applies to public. So anytime, and it's a one-directional conversation, meaning the board can't have a discussion, we can't talk, but this has been the only way that I can speak to the board and be heard at this point, honestly. So moving on, I requested, this is what I read during items from the floor. I requested to attend the national and state school board conventions because I wanted to learn about the differences between the two. I was shocked to hear that our board has attended the National School Board Convention numerous times, but has not attended the state convention for many years. I was also surprised to attend both conferences alone without a single request to provide feedback of the information that I learned. When taxpayers have invested $1,500 to $5,000 for my attendance, allowing feedback isn't just polite, it should be required. Without opportunity to share feedback, what are the benefits to attending these conferences? I greatly valued attending both, but when attending them alone, I realized we should lead from the same expectations that we teach our kids in habit number 6, synergize, together is better. From experience, it was more exciting to go to the national convention compared to the state. But our roles as entrusted local elected officials should be to prioritize state legislative issues over federal. We should be more in tune with what's going on in our state than on a national level. And I think if we're going to go to one board conference, we should definitely be up to date on the state issues. And it's surprising no one's went for years. I really think that should probably change. So as a remedy, I said this: I would like to share an idea to create a new board policy that encourages consistent board participation at both annual conventions, disperses our board attendance between the federal and state conferences to steward taxpayer dollars more effectively by having a max of 3 board members attend the annual state convention. That one's cheaper to go to. Well, it was this year because it was in SAC. Might be the same going to LA. but have 3 board members attend the annual state convention while the other 2 board members attend the national convention, or up to. It doesn't have to be all 3. It doesn't have to be 2, but no more than, like putting a limit on how many go to the state and how many go to the federal. And with a board requirement to submit feedback and suggested action steps to improve our district. This will increase the effectiveness of information we learn together as a team and add valuable improvement ideas to our district. And then I moved to add this policy proposal as a board discussion item to our January meeting, and no one seconded my motion, and I'm not allowed to make a motion during items from the floor. So I talked to Superintendent Armelino in the room during the meeting, and I said, so is there not a single way for me as a board member to put an item for discussion on our agenda? And we have a board policy, and I don't know it off the top of my head right now, but it says that if you want to put something on the agenda as a board member, you have to first email and ask permission from the superintendent and the board president. And if they say no, and they don't think it pertains to district, it's not relevant to district problems or dealings or information, then they will say, no, we don't think it's relevant at this time. And then your other option is to go to the board meeting and ask the other board members during public comments or items from the floor to ask if you could put that item on the following agenda. But again, we're at a problem because during public comments and items from the floor, you're not supposed to be motioning for a vote during that time. It's actually right now, as things go, if the superintendent and the board president will not put an agenda item that might be controversial, or they don't want to discuss it, or they just don't think it's relevant, even though I can give you a list of what I've requested, and it's extremely relevant to what the parents in the district and the constituents in the district have told me their concerns are. There right now is no other way for me to bring up any item at all, to put it even as a discussion item on our agenda, according to how things are right now, how they exist. So I'm going to keep advocating for the voices that come to me with the ideas that they want me to advocate for or share. And I'm going to keep being diligent to pursue this area and be your voice at the table in this position. That's the only reason I'm on the school board. I don't have any other reason to do this work if it's not to advocate for the concerns, the parents, and the issues that I've seen and known for years, that others have told me about for years. And I realized the only way for change to happen is to get involved and engaged and get to the tables where decisions are made, use your voice, and start voting accordingly. So I could really use parental support if you could start coming to the board meetings. I have been asking quite a few of you as you come to me with things, hey, come to the board meetings, speak a public comment, and helping you guys navigate instead of just leaving the district, which is what a lot of parents do. And I would just say, please don't go that route. It is easier and less confrontational to just quit, to walk away quietly. We have lost, I think it was 9 students this month. It was 5 at the EESD, most of the schools, and then 4 at RCA. And that's down from where we were last year, I think. I don't have all the enrollment data in front of me. But what I'm saying is, don't just leave our district. Come and do the process of a complaint, the process of letting your voice be heard. Come all the way up to the board with an issue you have before you leave. Please give us a chance to make adjustments. Don't just leave. Because if you don't come in and address those things, like I can't do it alone. I can't sit in that room and keep trying to advocate for things people are bringing to me if you don't come and say them too with your own words, your own voice. And if parents just leave the public education school system, That's easy for you, for your family, but what about the kids and the families that can't? I, as a single mom in the district, I couldn't just get up and go. And there's a lot of little things that accumulate into problems. And if parents will partner with and cooperate with and know and be informed about the decisions and the board policies and the spending and the funding and all the rules and regulations and things that are going on, change can happen, but it has to happen with, once again, the majority, not just the minority. So I'm here in this position until November 5th, 2026, or December 16th, I think. If you want to address something in the district, I'm all ears. Give me plenty to do. I'm more than glad to do the work. I read every page. I pour my heart into whatever is in front of me. So I'm here for you. I'm here for you, the parents, the constituents, and I'm here to represent your voice, which is exactly what this position's for. It's not for me to get in and just do whatever. It's to represent what our district needs most, what our kids are needing most, and to just give some fresh ideas, some different perspectives, to maybe ask a lot of questions and say, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it that way? I'm just being me, and I'm just pouring my heart into this. So I invite you to come. I invite you to run for school board. There's going to be 3 seats open in 2026. The deadline for filing is March 10th. There are 3 seats open: my seat, Bonnie Hyatt, and Andrew Shaddix. Or shall I say, up to be contested, because I think everyone likes where they're at. But if you want to get in there, it's not as hard as it sounds. If you want to advocate for change and you feel like getting involved in civic engagement, I would love to have a conversation with you and encourage you and inspire you to do so. I just got an award. I'm not boasting, I'm just telling you the truth. I got an award out of 15,000 women just last month for being really civically engaged and practicing civic engagement in our community. And I don't tell a lot of people all the things I'm doing because I don't need to. It's not about telling anyone anything. It's about, there's a lot of work to do, and that work needs to get done. And I don't care who's going to get in there and do it, but please, somebody do it. Somebody please get in and make some adjustments on some level at different levels in our city, because there's so much that needs to be addressed. So I'm just not going to wait around and see who else is going to take care of things. I'll just volunteer, sign up, and do as much as I possibly can do. And I hope to lead by example so that others join me in that. So anyways, there's the update from tonight. It has been quite the journey learning this role, these responsibilities, but I'm finally beginning to understand how to navigate these uncharted waters, and I'm very thankful for the courage and the strength that God himself has been giving me to be able to approach these things with confidence and with courage and with braveness and with my voice. And by the way, I'm terrified of public speaking. I don't like being in the spotlight. I don't want to be seen and known, but that comes with a yes to this. So if I can do this, any of you can do this. And I'm just asking, let's rise up. Rise up in your community. Rise up in your neighborhoods. Rise up at the parent meetings. Rise up at the city council meetings. Rise up in the city. Let's all do something. That's all I want. Let's all do something, because our kids are the next generation, and we are leaving them a mess. This generation, is leaving them a mess. So that's why I do what I do. I'm not trying to frustrate anybody. I just know there's better ways of doing things, and it's time to come to the table and make some adjustments where certain things just aren't working, or they don't make sense. Not common sense at all. Okay, have a good night. Sorry this was 30 minutes. I should probably start a podcast. That would make more sense. Okay, bye.